Hey there, welcome back to another review, this time of yet another anime, and this time it is a request from Jonathan Lindsay, a good friend of mine, and he sent me this in the mail a while back, and he wanted me to review it. He wanted to hear my thoughts on the film, and I'm really glad that he sent it to me and asked me to check this out because I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a great, quirky, fun adventure. This was a really entertaining, fast-paced, funny anime. I loved it. I thought it had a really nice blend of charm and intrigue and action and adventure. It reminded me of some of the best that the TV series Tailspin had to offer. I remember watching Tailspin a lot when I was a kid on Disney Channel, and this gave me some flashbacks to that kind of stuff, especially when it came to the aerial aerobatics and the particular flying sequences and all the action sequences that dealt with the seaplanes and so on and so forth. I listened to the English dub because I was very curious about it, because one of my favorite actors, Michael Keaton, was voicing the lead character, Porco Rosso. And I love this dub. This is one of the best English dubs that I've heard so far. I thought it was excellent. I thought everybody in the cast did a phenomenal job. I thought they were very impressive. Michael Keaton was perfectly cast as Porco Rosso. I thought he had the right amount of snark and wit, and you could tell that he was having fun with it. He even was said in an interview, like, when you get the opportunity to play a flying pig, you jump at it. You know, it's like, yeah, totally. I mean, man, I can't sing enough praises for Michael Keaton, period. I mean, not just for this, but for him in pretty much anything. He's one of the best actors working today, and he's just a really great actor. I mean, great is an understatement. He is just absolutely stellar. Like, I know I admit it. I'm a Michael Keaton fanboy. I'll admit it. But it's for good reason, because he's so talented, and he's so diverse, and he's able to do all different types of roles and do them really well. He can play a bad guy. He can play the bad guy better than anybody. He can play the good guy really well, the hero. When I think of Batman, I still think of Michael Keaton. He can pull off the comedy roles really well. He can do dramatic acting like he did in Spotlight and Clean and Sober. And he can do voice acting like he did in this and in the Toy Story and Toy Story sequels, like Toy Story 3 and some of the other spin-offs and stuff like that of Toy Story 3. So, yeah, he's just an absolute treasure. And it was really a lot of fun to hear him go to work here as Porco Rosso. Cary Elwes is also really good. He's also solid as always as Donald Curtis, the Texan pilot who is essentially the rival of Porco Rosso in this film. Madame Gina is voiced by Susan Egan, and she's done a few other things, English dubs for Disney, Disney's versions of Miyazaki films, and she's also quite good here. Brad Garrett I thought was perfectly cast as the gang boss of the Ayuto flying gang. Like, the character looks like Bluto from Popeye, and so it makes sense that he had this sort of Bluto performance by Brad Garrett. David Odgen Stiers is almost completely unrecognizable as the voice of Mr. Piccolo. And Kimberly Williams, I thought, was really outstanding as the voice of Fio. I thought she had just excellent chemistry with Michael Keaton. I thought she captured and embodied the character perfectly, the spunk, the charisma of this character. I don't think you could have done a better job when it comes to the voice acting for this particular character. And these are all really difficult things to do, because you're dubbing a animation that's already been dubbed, so you have to dub over that dubbing, and you have to get your timing just right. And it's not necessarily the same as traditional animation voice acting. It's a certain skill that you have to develop, and I thought all of these actors really did a great job developing that skill or honing that skill, because there were ones that worked on this that had done stuff before. Now, this is a 1992 film. It was released in Japan in 1992, and had a budget of about 9.2 million, and it made 34 million. Now, then again, I don't know if that's from Japan, from its initial release, or that's from when Disney released their dub, which was, I believe, I think it was in... Was it in 2017? Like, maybe it was released in 1992. Maybe, but I don't... It probably wasn't... I'm trying to think of, because I have this DVD. It's from 2000... Yeah, maybe it is from 2017. But I'm just trying to double check for sure to see when, if this got a theatrical release, the Disney release of Porco Rosso. Like, when was this ever released? Like, was it released in theaters? Okay, it was 1992. Okay, well, this Disney Wiki talks about the character. It's not really giving me that extra bit of detail. So I guess it must have done well. I guess it was released in Japan and did well over there. I don't know if they released it with an English dub or not. But anyway, I know that this did eventually get a release from Disney. And it's a really solid release. It's 2005. Okay. It's just right here on the disc. Duh. Of course, it's right in front of my face. Yeah, 2005. So maybe that box office came from the 2005 release. I don't know. To be honest, for picture quality wise, for a DVD, I thought it looked great. And overall, the animation in this, beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous. The shots of the planes flying around in the sky amongst the clouds, those were just really beautiful. There's one particular sequence in this in terms of the animation that's a real standout, and I'm not trying to take anything away from the rest of the animation, because the rest of the animation is just, I honestly think is very close. It's almost as close to perfection as you can get for this type of film and for what the vibe of the film was. But this particular sequence definitely is the one that made my jaw drop. And it's this moment where Porco is talking about his past when he was still a human, and he was flying with the Italian Air Force, and something happens. There's this big battle between the Italians and the Germans in World War I, and he ends up in this dreamlike sort of world in the clouds, and he starts seeing, he looks up and he sees what looks like this trail of just maybe people or something, like sort of like in the sky. It looks like something that's just trailing away up into the sky amongst these blue skies, and he's looking at it from far away, and he doesn't quite know what it is, but he knows that it's something that's traveling up there. Maybe it's like heaven. Maybe it's people who their spirits are traveling up into heaven. But then he starts seeing planes from his fellow pilots, and they're floating up through the clouds next to him, and he's trying to communicate with them, and they're not talking to him. They're not responding to him. And then they keep floating up, and then they keep floating further and further up into the sky, and then they join the path of all these blots, these little blots of blobs of things that are floating in the sky. And then that's the moment where the footage, the film zooms in and shows you that all of those blots in the sky, those black little blobs, or what looks like might have been like spirits or something going into the sky, they're all planes. And it's just a very vivid and amazing image. And I'd show it to you, but I can't. I don't want to get in any sort of copyright. And I know that Studio Ghibli is like notorious for copyright claims and strikes and shit, so I don't really want to go there. But trust me, if you get the chance to see this, or if you've already seen it, you know, you definitely have to check it out. Not only because it's a really good movie, but just for shots like that are just absolutely jaw-dropping and breathtaking. Just took my breath away. It was just a beautiful shot. That shows you that there is some cinematography that's involved with an anime, and I gotta give credit to Atsushi Okyu, Atsushi Okiui. I don't think I'm butchering his last name. I'm sorry, Atsushi Akui. Okui. I don't know. I should just shut up right now and quit while I'm ahead. Apparently, this is based on Hikotai Jidai by Miyazaki. Maybe he, I guess, might have been a book or a manga he wrote or something, or a story. Of course, it's directed by Miyazaki. His direction is... I can see why people are drawn to his work and feel like he's an auteur, or he is one of the best anime directors out there. I mean, one of the best animation directors out there, period, because it's just he just knows how to make the animation just absolutely remarkable and glorious. It's just such a fine job when it comes to animation. You can tell that he's very passionate about this. This is a labor of love, and it shows in every single shot that you see. So I can't sing his praises enough. There's nothing wrong with the direction of this film at all. The voice acting is top notch. The direction is top notch. The editing by Takeshi Seiyama, that's also top notch. The film goes by at a pretty quick pace, about 94 minutes. Starts off with a fun little kidnapping sequence where these pirates kidnap these little girls from this ship, this cruise ship, and then Porco Rosso comes in and saves them. It's a fun sequence, and then there's a nice little battle between Porco Rosso and new rival Curtis. Curtis thinks that he's gotten the better of him. Porco then goes to Italy to get his plane fixed, and that's when he meets up with Fio, and they have this bond with one another, and then it leads to a climactic rematch between Porco and Curtis for money. In order to, I'm trying to think of what the money was for. Money, you know, just for cash to be able to. Oh yeah, it was for Curtis to pay off the repairs for the plane, and the other, but there were higher stakes, because if Porco lost, then Fio would have to marry Curtis. I will say this about the climax, though. One thing that bothered me was that the plane battle was anticlimactic, and there wasn't a clear winner there, and there was a fun comedic moment where they run out of bullets and they're just throwing shit at each other, which I thought was pretty funny. But it ends in this sort of fight where they box each other in the water, and I would have liked to have been a little bit more straightforward and just a plain battle. That's it. It ends with a plain battle. Porco beats Curtis, and that's it. It seemed like the ending ran out of steam a little bit and then was trying to do something. I don't want to say that it was bad, but it was just different, and wasn't particularly a big fan of it. But I have to give Miyazaki credit. He did try to, because he also did the screenplay. He was trying to do something different. He was trying to make it a little bit more unique, and it was already a unique film. He got a flying pig, a man pig flying around in a plane, in a seaplane, and it takes place in the 1920s. So you already had this throwback vibe, which is really well shown on this particular film, especially with the style of clothing and with the setting and everything, and even with the music that's played throughout the movie. But I also really like the score by Joe Hisaishi. But yeah, it's one of those things. The climax, I would have liked to have just been Porco beats him at what he's best at, and then kind of just ties things up in a bow. I'm fine with them not revealing whether or not Porco did get the curse lifted or not. I'm okay with that aspect. I'm okay with the film leaving that ambiguous. I thought that was actually a nice touch. The flashing forward like multiple years in the future was interesting as well, but I don't quite know about that, because the ending is just random narration from a grown-up Fio talking about she now owns Piccolo Industries and has turned it into this big deal, and one of the largest manufacturers of planes, and they made all these advancements in technology, and doesn't really give away a lot about Porco's future. But does say that he outflew the Italian government that was trying to get him in the end, and did get away. So yeah, it's the ending. I feel could have used a little bit of work. But overall, that's really the only issue I had with it, was the ending. I thought it was cute, it was charming, it was quirky, and in a good way. I mean, not the type of quirky which is like a little bit too much. It wasn't too weird and too out there. It was grounded enough. And surprisingly, I mean, for a movie that's got a guy with a pig face, it actually had a good amount of emotion and humanity to it. And I would have to say a big part of that is definitely because of Miyazaki's writing. Yeah, this is essentially the first Miyazaki film that I've seen, and I really can't wait to see more from this director. I really like this a lot. So, and I would say that if this isn't one that really is talked about that much when it comes to Miyazaki's best. I mean, there's probably ones I'll see that I'll probably feel that are better films in terms of storytelling or an overall scope, but I think this one will still hold a special place in my heart, because it's the first one I've seen, and I really enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun with it, and it's got this just fun. It's just a fun movie. It's really entertaining, and I love the idea of it taking place in the 20s and dealing with seaplanes and just this tailspin like atmosphere, and it's just, yeah, it definitely is a really one-of-a-kind film. It's very unique, because you're not going to find another film that takes place in this era and stars a man-pig. It's just not going to happen. And I honestly could not think of another director or writer that could pull this off as well as Miyazaki did. I mean, this is ambitious. This is out there. This is high concept, and he knocks it out of the park. So, I really don't know what else to say about Porco Rosso, except if I were to rate it out of 5 stars, I'd give it 4.5 out of 5. The only issues I have is with the ending. Other than that, it flies by at a good pace. The voice acting is terrific. The animation is amazing. The action, when it is there, is well shot and is very fluid and flows really well. Yeah, it's a really excellent, great film and great anime. Really wonderful slice of animation. So anyway, thanks for watching my review of Porco Rosso, and as always, I will see you later. See ya.